Hello there, what's going on you guys? Today I'm going to be talking about X-Wing Epic. They made a big announcement for this at Star Wars Celebration. However, I haven't really gotten to talk about it yet, and you may not have even heard that much about it because with all of the news that came out of this past weekend, a lot of things just kind of got overwhelmed. It's like there was a tidal wave, so it's hard to talk about like each individual thing, and so that's one of the things I'm trying to get caught up now. So we'll want to talk a little bit about the epic battles that are going to be going on with X-Wing. Now, they didn't give us a whole lot of information, but they did give us some, and there was also some more also talked about on Reddit. I think we're still going to have to wait a little bit longer until full-blown articles actually come forth and show us the official releases and officially what's coming, but for now, we do have a lot of really cool information. So I'm going to talk about all this. I do want to remind you guys there is a new round of the giveaway going on right now. There's still time to enter. We have about another week left on this, and then I'll announce the winner. So stay tuned for that. I typically announce the winners at the end of my videos, so you'll have to watch all the way to the end. But all you have to do if you'd like to win a $25 Amazon gift card is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and talk about Epic, because this has been asked about a lot, all the way going back to last Gen Con. The real big ships, for X-Wing. And, like these little suckers right here. As we almost break them again. Like the CR-90, the Raider, the Sea-Rock, the Gozanti, and the GR-75. There's 5 Epic ships. People had a lot of questions about these, and I did as well, and we got some of them answered, although we didn't get all of them answered. And so one of the big questions that people asked is Epic going to come to X-Wing 2.0? And they did say yes, but they didn't really have anything to announce about it. And then, then not that long ago, they did say, we did just at Adepticon, they mentioned that they finished wrapping up testing and like internal development of it. So they'd probably be having some stuff to announce in the near future. So here at Star Wars Celebration, they did finally tell us some things about Epic. And I think I'm just going to hold this the whole time as if it were an award. This was one of my first repaints, by the way. That's why it's like teal and gray instead of red and white. So it'll be interesting to see if I do I may end up getting another one of these. I don't know if I'll buy new versions of all of the Epic ships because they do get kind of pricey. So first thing, I have actually done a lot of predictions on X-Wing 2.0. And one of the things that I had always said was I wanted gameplay to become faster. And that's what the biggest pitfall of Epic is, that it became not fun because it took too long. Like people would just bring 300 points of squadrons or whatever, and I said, or fighters, and wouldn't it be great if they could fly kind of like the way squadrons do in Armada? And I suggested this whole thing of like flying stuff in formation, and wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what they're doing. So I don't know if some of those developers watch my channel, but if you do, thank you guys so much for at least picking out the few good bits that maybe I have to suggest. If not, it could be that a lot of people maybe have had the same suggestions because it's just a good idea. So I'm not claiming a monopoly on good ideas. It could be that people who have all played Epic have kind of arrived at similar conclusions. So, I'm just glad that something like this is coming into the game. And it looks like a really cool system how they're doing this. So, basically, they're going to have this wing tool is one of the things that they're going to have. That's going to allow you to have up to 6 fighters in a formation, and you'll be able to pick a wing leader, and you'll be able to fly them. And now they're only showing 3 here, where they're lining up to this tool. And the funny thing is you're seeing a little bit more of an Outer Rim to X-Wing connection. The board game Outer Rim uses X-Wing dice. Well, here it looks like you're using a little peg in the middle of this tool that is, and it's a little piece of cardboard. It looks like about the size of like a 3 straight. 3 or 4 straight that you're lining up, and you could probably even use one of those to test it out. It looks really cool. So, you're putting like one of these little pegs, like your fame tracker from Outer Rim, in there, and you can. Here they show 3. You're lining them up along the back. I would assume if you had 6, you would also align 3 more up on the front of that, so that would represent the backs and fronts. So you can fly like a 6-group TIE fighter swarm in formation. Very, very cool. And you just set 1 maneuver dial. You get to move all of them. So very, very cool. Very excited about that. I imagine it'll act very similar to how squadrons work in Armada. Very, very happy about that. But the other thing is that this is a full-blown multiplayer expansion with Epic Battles. Like, it's going to be... they didn't say exactly how, like, the SKUs and, the box, the sale formula is going to be. But it sounds to me like you're going to get an Epic starter which will have your conversion kits for your existing Epic stuff. They may do conversion kits separately from the Epic, from whatever is the starter, but there's going to be all kinds of stuff. There's going to be 11 scenarios, and it's going to be largely scenario driven. They want this to have an Epic feel to it. They want it to feel different than normal dogfighting. So there is definitely that going on. But the scenarios sound like they'll be a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that the big ships, the Epic, the capital ships, the huge ships in X-Wing, will lend themselves a little bit more to scenarios and objective specifics, rather than just being, all, I don't know, the big lumbering, less than fun, cumbersome kind of ships that they were. It'd be nice if they had, something specific that they lend themselves to. Like, hey, you don't, because one of the things they said is you're not going to need to have these big ships to play in Epic. It's just something that, but if you do, you can. And maybe they'll be good for, a certain type of objective play. So that was kind of nice. Now you can go up to 8 players. So they said Epic can play from 2 to 8, but I've also heard 3 to 8 in some other places. So I'm really not sure if maybe there'll be certain scenarios that are better for 3 people, some that are better for 2 sides, like force on force. And there's some information we really could use. So if I had the opportunity to ask FFG some questions directly, I would be like, when you say multiplayer, how do you mean multiplayer? Do you mean teams of force on force, or do you mean true multiplayer, a la Outer Rim? 5 people are playing, there'll be only 1 person that's the winner, there'll be 4 losers. Or is it I don't like to use the term, I don't mean losers but if there's one winner, if it's a true multiplayer, like King of the Hill, where everybody's competing against everyone else, that's amazing, but I don't know how you're going to do that. So my suspicion is that for multiplayer, it's going to be teams. I think it'll be teams for multiplayer, whereas maybe one person controls the Epic ship, the other person controls a squadron, and then another person controls a different squadron. And whereas, 3 versus 3. Very similar to how they just announced sector fleet rules for Star Wars Armada. That's my prediction, is that's how it will be. Expanding the game for up to 8 players sounds awesome, sounds super fun, but if it's just 4 people per side, then maybe you don't really need to, do that. Maybe it's still a 2-player game, So we'll have to see. I kind of hope there are 3-player scenarios and 5-player scenarios, things that are truly, free-for-all multiplayer. I like free-for-all multiplayer more than team-based multiplayer. Not to say that team-based multiplayer isn't fun. It is fun. I would just, I feel like that's not a departure enough from the basic force-on-force that we already have. So while team-based multiplayer is multi-flavor is fine in your chewing gum. No, multiplayer is fine for for team-based, but it's way better for me to have the option to do actually true free-for-all multiplayer. So we have this wing tool. We've got multiplayer. We've got a lot of that. And then we also have the huge ships. So they're going to be releasing the huge ships. Now there was also a discrepancy based on this image. They each of the 3 huge ships will be re-released. There's more than 3 huge ships, guys. There's 5. So the current plan right now, as it seems, is to re-release all of the huge ships, but not all at once. So basically they're re-releasing these first 3 right away. I'm assuming the Gozanti and GR75 will be later reprints. They can't just print all this stuff at once because these are big, these are larger things. Now, it's also very likely to assume that your other factions will get a huge ship as well. Although we don't have we don't have anything juicy about that. But since they're actually, if they're going to be reprinting these, then they'll probably also reprint, or also probably print stuff for the other ones. And we can do all of our suspicions on those. I would probably lean toward, and granted, they had these in the Republic as well, but I think you'd have something more like a consular class cruiser for the Republic. The Separatists, they have a lot of options. That mining guild, I forget the name of it. I don't have it on top of my head, but we'll do more I've already done prediction videos on how they could do those, so I don't want to kind of rehash too much of the exact same stuff, but there's definitely a lot of options on other ships they can add. Still kind of hoping for the action transport for Scum, but I don't think we'll get that right now, because you also have other things that you can do with Scum Epic. You could, if you're going higher points, you could do lots of IG-88s. You could do lots of things like that. So Scum's kind of already got some built-in, and they have the most large ships anyway. So Scum already has some presence. And I think the most important thing is giving every faction at least one, and that's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how they'll end up doing, Resistance and First Order. I think, we're going to have to wait until post Episode 9 to really see that, because, again, Episode 9 should have a really big space battle. We'll have a lot more options from there. So there's a couple other things that, that came out on from all of this information. First off, from Reddit, we learned also, because Gavin Duffy was doing a kind of, I don't want to say an Ask Me Anything, but like a partial, let's clear up a few questions on Reddit. That these epic ships can fit in normal size games. And so you can actually play normal games. He made the mistake of saying tournament games. So a lot of people were like, whoa, you can bring a Corellian Corvette to a tournament. He's like, no, correction. Not tournaments, but just casual standard games. You totally can do that, although it may take up your whole list. So you may just have, and I think that therein lies the problem, because if you were going to field something like this, at least in X-Wing 1.0, you would not have enough points for another ship. And so you could never really, legally you couldn't, it was never tournament legal, because you had to use those specifically in Epic play. I think, as they're overhauling all of the rules for Epic as well. So all of this stuff is going to, the points and everything about them is going to be different. And I think one of the things that, when Andrew Navarro was kind of talking about X-Wing and Epic in 2.0 a little bit, he did kind of talk about how, they kind of did them because they wanted to, because they thought it would be cool. And then after the fact, they're like, oh boy, we didn't make this really fun enough. And that's one of the things they're kind of going back to here, is like, let's not just make it because we can do it, but let's make it really good. And I think that's why they took their time here. It's like, let's make it really fun. And I am all about taking this game that is a very competitive game and just, juicing the fun, squeezing all the fun, into it. Like, I was about to say squeezing all the fun out of it, like juicing it, like just getting all the fun we can get out of a game like this, because we got giant, awesome spaceships on a, well, I guess they're mini spaceships, but we got lots of them, and some giant spaceships on this mat. Like, it's the ultimate, I'm a big kid and I'm going to play with my toys. And Epic, I think, embodies that. So this is going to be so much fun. So I'm really excited for this. I'm hoping we have the like something to get us started by Gen Con. I think this is going to be a really, really expensive Gen Con this year. So I am going to definitely try to go. I was looking at hotels; they're crazy expensive. So it's going to be a challenge. I may end up having to work Gen Con again just to pay for the whole thing, because it's not going to be easy. That being said, a couple other things. First off, they have redone the bases, so no longer, and that's, as I went to go grab this guy, the base fell apart on me. I'm so thrilled that they're re-engineering the bases, because these guys have broken and fallen apart so many times. I could not be more happy to see, brand new redesigned bases. That's like a single piece, not the two bases like it was before. Single piece bases. Sounds wonderful. Can't wait to see that. Very, very happy about that, as a matter of fact. And they talked about how these ships were going to get 2 actions at turn 2. That was one of the things about I think the huge ships, is that they would have 2 actions. So a lot of, that doesn't tell us a whole lot, because I think I'm really more interested to hear about how all of their mechanics work, to see how exactly 2 actions is going to affect them. For example, are they going to have new actions, or is there anything are they still going to use energy? How's energy going to work with them? I think energy is definitely a possibility, but I don't think they have to use energy anymore, because now you have charge, right? And so you can potentially have different guns that have charge, and maybe one of the actions they can do is recharge, and they can recover a charge on up to 2 different devices or something like that. Who knows? And that's an option. Or maybe it's recover 1 charge on all of your devices if you spend a whole action to recharge. Or maybe it costs both of your actions to do that. All right, no focus this time, guys. We're going to just recharge the guns. That's a cool idea. Maybe that's something that they'll be able to do. So I'm really curious about how the printed firing arcs, how the bases are going to work. If they're using a whole new piece, I'm sure the bases and the firing arcs and all of that will be totally redesigned. So. And I do kind of hope they they kind of stick to having some of these ships being more dedicated for anti-fighter. Like the Radar and the CR-90 were both supposed to be like anti-fighter craft, as opposed to being more or less anti-capital ship craft. So kind of hope they kind of stick with that theme, but we're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be a really exciting time. I also wonder if they're going to change the sculpts at all. My CR-90 has been dropped so many times, and a lot of it has to do with the base being faulty. Like it's fallen off of the base a number of times. So I will probably get a new Corellian Corvette. This guy is just he feels like he's a Clone Wars veteran right now that's still managing to be in service. Let's look at this thing, man. My single turbo lasers are all broken. Like the round base is there, but all the little pointy bits are broken off. These engines have come off multiple times. This right here comes like it snaps right off, which is actually kind of cool that you can just take it on and turn it off. I don't know if it was intended to be that way, but a lot of other pieces, like the turrets right here in the top, they come off too, which again, I like that. I kind of like, this gives me like a vision for a whole different system where it's like what you see is what you get. Oh, you're using the dual turbo laser turret? Okay, well then put this piece on your ship, and kind of like they do that with Legion a little bit, but have it designed to like go in instead of having to magnetize it and do all this stuff on your own. I would love to see, a space game that actually like you put the turbo lasers on the ship and you can see the turbo. That would be cool. But anyway, that's me wish listing a whole new epic, probably a whole new IP. Maybe if they do a Twilight Imperium space game, we'll get something like that. All right, guys. Well, that's all we really know for right now. I'll keep you updated on as we get more epic information, more huge ship for these epic battles for X-Wing. Very, very exciting. I can't wait to find out more. And I love the new art that they did, too. That's very cool. I also want to give a big thanks to Gold Squadron Podcast for covering this. I wasn't able to actually attend to this panel, and I really appreciate Gold Squadron for bringing this to me and all of you guys, and being there and covering this stuff so we can have this information. Because it's cool hearing them actually talk about it rather than it just be a press release. Because sometimes, a press release it doesn't give you as much information. And hearing people talk about it and go into the design aspects, like, yeah, we wanted to make this more fun, and like hearing them talk about it candidly has a lot of impact, for me. And sometimes you get more information. And sometimes they let things slip too. Plus you get the Q&A, and all of that stuff. And that's kind of how we got our first hint that Armada would be getting Clone Wars is through Q&A. I kind of tooting my own horn there because like had I been there though, I don't even know if I would have had. If I'd have been able to even think of any questions with all the good news that they gave us at this panel, kind of blew me away. Makes me wonder what they're going to announce at Gen Con. Because that's wild. I have no idea. All right, guys. Well, that's all I've got. I want to thank you all so much for watching. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I also have a new P.O. box. So for those of you who, I know I get contacted from time to time, people wanting to send me stuff. I will be putting that on Crabbok.com under my About page. So if you can get my contact info there, we have a new P.O. box as well. So that's about it, guys. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.